Today, we are reviewing Christopher Nolan's newest film, The Odyssey. Here we are. We have seen this movie. Dion, this is your first time on the show. Let's start out with you. What's your gut reaction?
And this is one of the hardest things to adapt. And I think him taking a stab at it this way is very beyond interesting because it's interest, but it's also a challenge. And I think that's what gives things that gap between good and great.
Christopher Nolan must be stopped. Okay.
Stopped.
Yes.
You trying to shut it down?
That's when you know a film is really hitting its mark.
What is it about this movie that you think Christopher Nolan, at this far in his career, like, what's he trying to give us?
Man, that's a complicated question.
It is complicated. Hence why I asked it.
He's finding this intersectionality of how we can feel, we can want something that warrants the movie theaters, but still feel something that feels like we're home with somebody.
Some may call it a long movie. I just felt like it took as much time as it needed to tell the right story.
To take something as grand as the Odyssey and be able to bring it to this medium and make me care. I got to be honest with you, gang. I was a little bit nervous that it might be a little bit, you know what I mean? Like it might kind of get over. Like I'm like, all right, fam, Christopher, you great, Chris, but you lost me on this one. Hello and welcome to KRA-KOOM. I am your host, Octavius A. Newman, and today we are reviewing Christopher Nolan's newest film, The Odyssey. And with me today on the show is Dion Ringgold from In Club Magazine. Dion, how you doing?
What up? You really should introduce me as, the head nerd in charge from West Philadelphia, born and raised on a playground where I spent most of my days. I could finish it, but I think you knew this already. But for the people who didn't know, I felt like it was an important piece of information.
There we go. And also Kenny Sparks from It Could Be Whatever Media. Kenny, how you doing?
Doing quite well, and that's exactly what it could be, dog. It could be whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Oh.
Step to me wrong, I'm gonna pull out the bookie. You know what I'm saying?
Whoa.
I got it on me. Got it on me. You think I won't step up in Thessaloniki and I can pull out the sword, dog? What's up?
Whoa.
Whoa.
This is me holding him back. That's me holding you back.
This is fantastic.
You think a Cyclops can hit me?
Okay.
A one-eyed nigga gonna check me? Sorry, my bad.
I got you. I'm holding him back, y'all. He got more in there. I'm holding him back.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you, Dion. Goodness gracious, we got started quick. Okay. All right, gang. So we are going to be talking about The Odyssey today. Let me just start out by saying this is a spoiler show. If you have not seen this movie, you are being warned right now. No holds barred review. We're talking about the whole movie. We done seen it all, everything. So if you continue beyond this point, you are choosing to be a part of this conversation. So here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's your fault. All right. So now, before we get started 100%, I want to say one thing. If you have not subscribed to KRA-KOOM, this is a great opportunity to do so. Hit a like on this, subscribe, and also the biggest thing that I think you could do is share this show with somebody else. I want to say thank you to everybody who's already shared, already liked, already commented, already made some discussions about this stuff in our comments. We really appreciate that. And if you are liking what we're doing, please take a moment right now to share the show with somebody else so we can continue to build the crew and have a larger conversation. So, gang, here we are. We have seen this movie. Let's get into some gut reactions. We've all seen it. We were lucky enough to be able to go see a screening. Dion is in a whole other state from us, and he was able to see a screening as well. Yeah. Let's start out with the gut reactions. Dion, this is your first time on the show. Let's start out with you. What's your gut reaction to?
I feel like this is rookie hazing. I feel like I'm being hazed right now. I'm just putting that out there. This is rookie hazing, but I accept. I'll pick up the tab. I'm going to say, see this movie on the biggest screen you possibly can. Let's start right there. Biggest screen you can in theaters. This is what you need to see. I think this may be his strongest emotionally accessible film that he's ever done. Okay. And this is one of the hardest things to adapt. And I think him taking a stab at it this way is very beyond interesting because it's interest, but it's also a challenge. And I think that's what gives things that gap between good and great. What's the novelty of it? What's the level of difficulty to it? And I think those things he's proven that he continues to kind of knock out the park. So I'm on board with this.
Okay. Okay. Ken, what you got? Gut reactions. You've seen the movie, you've had a night to
Yep.
let it marinate. What's your reaction to the movie?
Christopher Nolan must be stopped. Okay.
Stopped.
Yes.
You trying to
If
shut it down?
like at a certain point, when you win 6 championships, how much more do you need?
Oh,
You know what I'm
oh,
saying?
I see.
Yeah.
This is too good.
Mm.
I literally I'm sitting next to Sligh, our ace editor, our incredible editor, and I'm like, this man must be stopped. This is too good. I don't understand this experience I'm having right now. This is what
She's on
the
a
young
grind.
folks and the old folks call cinema, if you will.
Aha.
And man, when I tell you
Cinema.
sometimes there's only a few experiences where you're in the theater and you're like, I'm watching this. I cannot believe what I'm looking at right now.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like, and that's the feeling when by the time the movie ended, actually, I'm not going to get into the minutia, but
Yeah.
in the third act, when all the things are being paid off, I'm getting hit with every little thing that's being paid. The dog, the little block thingy, the like all the little things that have been set up in the beginning, and it just feels good. It's like poetry. It rhymes. You know what I mean? So I really enjoyed my experience with this. Yeah.
Okay.
I like that.
Yeah, my gut reaction was, this is epic.
Yes.
This is the I love the movies, and going and sitting in this movie in IMAX. This movie is the first movie to be filmed completely in IMAX. A film totally filmed with film. And experiencing that, letting that movie wash over me, I'm just going like, this is why we come here. We've all seen The Thing at AMC. We go to the movies.
Yep.
We come here for this reason, so that, well, that experience was one of the reasons. This is the reason why I go to the movies. So that was my gut reaction. Walking out, we were able to hang out with a bunch of other people who'd seen the movie. Once again, shout out to all the people we met, and thank you for inviting us. But fam, it was so good to be in a movie where people respected the movie too. You want a bunch of talking, people on phones and stuff. It was a great experience. Epic.
I agree. Yeah, I would agree with that. It was
Yeah,
a really good atmosphere.
I agree.
Go ahead. You were gonna say?
No, I was just saying, even in my experience, because I see it with majority press, but I think to your point, I like that you brought that up. We have to have respect as press or you get kicked out or however, but I felt like we were as engaged as if we were just fans. And that's when you know a film is really hitting its mark, right? It's got its finger somewhere, because all of us who are there specifically, to review and screen and do your things, we're in there, giddy, like, oh my goodness, right? Clapping and those things. So I think I like the way you put that.
Yeah. So let's get into the deep dive, gang. I want to have a conversation about some of the things that we came away from this movie with. And I think it would be a good idea to start out with, again, you, Dion. What is it about this movie that you think Christopher Nolan, at this far in his career, like, what's he trying to give us? What's he trying to communicate to us?
Well, so I think two things. I think for one, that he's a geek, and that he's not just a film geek, but he's a history geek. One of my favorite films by him is Dunkirk, right? So to me, this
we saw that together too. Remember that?
We did see that together, absolutely. And I think he has such an affinity for film and history that I think they just blend really well in his sandbox. I think this specifically is, again, I keep talking about it being challenging, because films that set in antiquity are very hard to do. They're very risky, because it can become just action piece after action piece after action piece, right? And it's hard sometimes to make people connect and actually care about those people, right? And the challenges and adapting Homer, as interesting as that could be, that's not an easy feat. Most directors are like, let me stay away from that, because it's, to your point, it's an epic at every form, right? That's the word epic kind of finds its origin in a story like what Homer writes, right? And I think him leaning into that, of a story that's not, there's no MacGuffins, right? There's no real desire or quest to get something, you know, like the golden fleece or anything like that. And is really not a man who's trying to save the world or change it, right? It's ultimately a guy who wants to get home, a son who needs the guidance of his father, a father who needs the guidance of wisdom to reconcile with broken promises, right? And I think when you embark on something of this magnitude, especially of this, like, you know, as circuitous as his journey is, I think you have to have a level of kahunas and some gravitas to even be willing to try to tackle something like this and to land that plane as well as he did, where you cared for every single person that was on screen, not just one or two. We actually sat and felt with everybody there. I think he's finding this intersectionality of how we can feel, we can want something that warrants the movie theaters, but still feel something that feels like we're home with somebody.
Yeah, man. I think that's a great point. Like it warrants the movie theaters, but it still feels like you're having this personal experience at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah.
That makes sense to me. I feel what you're saying about that.
Yeah.
Ken, you got anything on this?
Yeah, like one of the things that just like in line with what Dion is mentioning, part of the ability to tackle this is having the ability to take your time and having the leeway to take your time too. And one of the things I really enjoyed about this film was there's set pieces, but it didn't really feel like a set piece, more so than it felt like a large part of the story. So I mentioned a little bit earlier in jest the Cyclops whole Cyclops sequence. That is a long sequence when you really think about it. From the time they get on the island to the time they get off, it is not a 10-minute situation. We are there for a minute. When we get to the lady who's turning the dudes into animorphs and going and like stretching their faces and turning them into pigs,
which was a crazy scene, by the way.
Wild scene. Loved it because I love the setup. I love the way in which he pulled you over here with Matt Damon. Look, you need to stay behind, homie. And how he sends him on this journey to pull him back. He sees what's happening, even though they don't. And in their hubris, they're like, we don't need you. They do, though. Right? Because he's typically the one who sees. He's typically the one who plans. He's the person who got him in this situation, but more than likely, he's the person who can get them out. Right? So I love the amount of time that we spent with all of these different. All these things are you can call them episodes into themselves within one movie.
I see that.
This almost felt like a HBO TV show in a sense, but
a 3 hour
of a much higher quality, right? And that's not to say that HBO shows aren't of high quality, because they are. But this felt like, you said, the epic version of that, right? So yeah, I so appreciate the time. Some may call it a long movie. I just felt like it took as much time as it needed to tell the right story, or tell the story the right way. Yeah, so.
Yeah. Agreed. I really think that this movie, what Christopher Nolan did with it is he was able to bring us through a large story that spans long periods of time, but he was able to condense it within to a handful of hours, but not make it feel like that. And make everything matter. I think that that's rough, man. We've seen a lot of movies that are shorter. We've seen long TV shows and series, and they like bring up ideas and concepts in the beginning, and you're like, that's interesting. But like he did with this movie, to pay everything off and to make you feel every little moment. There were times where I was sitting back in my seat. There are times where I'm sitting forward in my seat. There are times that I got my head in my hands at people react. You said you saw me? Like,
I don't think I've ever seen you sit up like this in the movie theater before. I was like, is he okay? No, legitimately.
I was thought okay and not okay at the same time. Yeah. So, I mean, but everything mattered. And I think that's what shows him as a craftsman and a person who cares about story and this medium of filmmaking. For you to be able to take something as grand as the Odyssey and be able to bring it to this medium and make me care. I got to be honest with you, gang. I was a little bit nervous that it might be a little bit, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
too much.
It might kind of get over. Like, I'm like, all right, fam, Christopher, you great, Chris, but you lost me on this one. From the jump, I'm like, I care so much about everything going on to the point that I didn't even care that Travis Scott was in the movie. I was like, all right. Okay.
Sure. we'll take him. We'll
Go
take
for
him.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got to go ahead, Dion.
No, I just love that, but I think because it's to me though, what you just said about it being so grand is the decision of what to put in and what not to put in. I don't know if y'all know there are 12,000 lines long. Homer's The Odyssey is 12,000 lines long. So there is a resistance that you got to have as a director, right?
Right,
Of not to
restraint.
try to. You got to have some restraint. There has to be some
Mm-hmm.
creative and intentional restraint around. Okay, what do we put in? And not only what do we put in, whatever we decide to put in, how long should it be? How deep do we go? How much do we show? Does this ultimately get us? Does this ultimately serve our antagonists and protagonists the way we need it to for people to see them the way that we want to present them? Because guys, there's a lot of stuff that had they included in the movies, we might be side-eyeing certain people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We might not have felt as deeply with them had they shown that on screen. So Octavius, I think that's such a valid and an important part not to just glaze over. The choices with something this big, this large, I think is just as important as the cinematography, which is beautiful, the score, which is beautiful, the performances, which are outstanding, the decisions of how much to put in and what within that to amplify is why he is on this, this three-peat again, like Kenny said,
Yeah, and not only that, like it's what he decided to expound on or expand on, where previous movies who have been in this world have not. So one of the things that really impacted me or touched me, or I don't even know if it was like that deep emotionally, but it was like, oh, that's really interesting, was the entire Trojan War sequence. Seeing like how they were in there for days. Like I've never seen that explained. I think I've seen it explained like they've been in there for like a couple of hours. They were in there for a long time.
Right.
But the surviving of the coming in tide and using the straw to breathe and the fecal matter and all the other stuff that they had to go through to sit in there. And he sat us in there for a minute too. And so when they turned the horse over and you're like, man, all that water, all that fecal matter, all that stuff is happening. I think they said like a couple people died in there. Like it's man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was really impactful for me because I've never seen that part of the story told that way.
Agreed. I didn't know that. Of course, you can go, oh, a bunch of people in a horse. And I think when we watch certain media, people can tell us certain things happen and we can kind of go, oh man, that must have been hard. But Christopher does a really good job of going, people died in this thing.
Yeah, exactly.
People got stabbed in this thing. People almost lost their minds and they had to like...
I was freaking out when he got stabbed. I was like, wait, what if they see the blood on the blade?
And if you see when he pulled up the blade, he kind of wiped it off on the way up. The details. You got to imagine
when they had to restrain homie from saying something, I was like, yo, just tell him to shut up.
I was scared to death.
I was in there with him.
I was in there like,
right. And you got to imagine, like, I mean, I don't know if you've ever experienced anything like a panic attack or like just being overwhelmed or being stressed. Can you imagine being in that horse for X amount of time and you just got to be quiet? You don't even know. Yeah. You got to think about the fact that these dudes left not knowing if they would come back, when they would come back, whether they would live, whether they would die. And moment to moment to moment, they have to keep choosing to follow Odysseus.
Yeah.
You have to keep choosing to follow what he's telling them and where he's leading them, which leads me to a point that I want to bring up. What do we think of Odysseus in this movie, the way he's portrayed? What do we think?
Man, that's a complicated question.
It is complicated. Hence why I asked it.
He's layered, man. And so the beautiful thing again, if you read the Odyssey, there's a lot of liberties that Chris takes. And the beautiful thing about this, I'm assuming people know, he wrote this and directed this. He gets so much credit for being a great director.
But he did credit Homer. He credited Homer.
Yes, you have to. I mean,
got to.
I mean, but anyway, a lot of people have different translations on all Homer's kind of work, right? This and the Iliad which is up for interpretation in a lot of different ways. So the
Mm-hmm.
reason why I love what he did with him in this is that, again, he's just as layered, just as flawed, and you see those decisions haunt him, right? So
Yes.
when we fast forward and he says, "I want to hear the songs of the siren," and what, oh my goodness, when he said what he heard, woo, broken promises that he couldn't keep. Like, he's
Mm.
carrying this the entire time, right? And
Yes.
spoiler alert, they give him a little bit more, I don't want to say motivation, but a little bit more understanding, I think, because a lot of people ask, well, why didn't he want to go home? That was always a question, right? And
Mm-hmm.
the Homeric kind of writings, like, did he want to go home? Was he preferring to be there? No. So he just, him being home, he felt like, well, when I get there, will I still be the same person with knowing
Yeah.
everything that I know, everything that I see? So he's super
Mm-hmm.
layered, and his decisions are hard. And I think they've shown he's the only person that could do this. The reason why I like this, because in the Odyssey, he is, most people might know this or not, he's technically the great grandson of Zeus on both sides,
Mm-hmm.
on his mother's side
Mm-hmm.
and his father's side. Like, he's,
Mm-hmm.
so he gets these kind of special privileges. He has this kind of anointing, as us Christians would say,
Uh-huh.
on
Uh-huh.
him. So
Come
he's
on.
able, so he got the sauce already. Like, he's really him, right?
Uh-huh.
However, I think they left some of that out so he could feel as vulnerable as we needed him to be, right? Because, like,
Yes.
yo, Matt looked like Mac Jackman out there. Like, that man,
Man,
he was Mac
that was
Jackman. That
PRT.
man was,
Man.
He had
yo,
that great. He
them guns
definitely.
was crazy.
Yeah.
But so
That
him
diet had
being
to be
layered.
insane.
But I like that. I don't feel like they ever try to make his decisions feel like they were the right decisions. I think they let
Mm.
you sit with it. Like, what would you
Yes.
have done? Right? It was
Yes.
never a time like where they let him off the hook. Like, they never let him off the hook. It was like,
Right.
hey, he was one of my favorite lines that he says. They said, no, you got to honor these men. They died for us. She said, we honor them by getting out.
Yes.
Right? Like,
Right. Right.
so
Right.
I'm like, man,
Yeah.
And
so
you're like, I
getting
hear
out.
you. And
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
I hear both sides.
Right.
Where you hear both sides, and so they never let him off the hook. So he's complicated, but not in a way that feels paint by the numbers, anti-hero, right?
Mm-hmm.
They literally let you sit with, now how you feel about him every moment. Hey, now how you feel about him?
Yeah.
With every decision that he made, and letting us sit in that, I think is why for me I was so rooting for him. I'm just like, as a person who feels like I'm a high capacity leader, I was like, ooh, that's a hard decision. Ooh, that's a hard decision, right?
Yeah.
Especially with Elliot Page's character. Ooh, Lord have mercy. I'm like, that's such a hard decision. Like, he has no chance of survival. Like,
Right.
chances of survival slim to none, buddy. Like,
0.
and exactly, and it's a decision he has to make. So, complicated is obviously an oversimplification, but I like that the complexity allows us to sit with how we feel with him with every decision.
Yeah, it puts you in a position to basically ask yourself, like, what would you do in this situation? If you were in
Mm-hmm.
a situation where you knew your ship was about to go either through the whirlpool or through the cavern where 60 of your men was going to be killed, what would
Right.
you
Yeah.
do? And
Because
would you
somebody
tell
got to
them?
die.
Somebody got to
Somebody's got to
die.
die.
And I got to be honest with you. I think he made the right decision, right? Sacrifice the
Waiting is tough, bro.
six, and not kill us all. Like, all of us don't.
And can
deserve,
you know
like,
what's so
yeah.
genius about that? What was so genius about that too is, and
Mm-hmm.
this is what good leadership would do. He let Eurylochus make him feel like it was his decision. Remember?
Right.
Because he said, "Hey, we
Right.
should go this way." He was like, "No, we're going to do." So he made him feel like, "Hey, okay,
Yeah.
we're going to do it. What you want to do?" But it was what he wanted them to do the entire time, right? So that's why
Mm-hmm.
he was
Yeah.
so pissed. And I mean, the performances, Himesh Patel, I love him. He's just
Of everybody.
He was
fantastic.
great
Fantastic.
in
He
this
was
movie.
so good. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you really, because I was
Absolutely.
mad that he had to go. I knew he was gonna go, but I was kind of mad that he had to go.
Yeah. Yeah, he was great. Like, everybody's performance in this movie was top notch. Like,
Yeah.
I
And
know
I
who
know we're
getting
gonna
that.
get there.
I know who getting that
We'll talk
nomination.
performance at some point. Yeah. Wait, can we go in there? Because I'm gonna say if this person doesn't get a nomination, I'm gonna riot.
Well, I want to keep that thought because I want to say something about Odysseus.
Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
watching this movie, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm observing the character of Odysseus, and as per usual, I can't control what my brain gets to going and thinking and processing and like considering and this and that. And here's what kind of floated to the top for me this whole time. Again, a conversation we've been having with a lot of media. Fate, versus destiny. 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 Fate, ver versus free will.
Mm.
Fate versus free will.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here thinking and watching him, and I'm seeing myself in this character, not because I'm jacked too. I'm a
I mean, you
movie
do like you've been
actor.
working out a little bit though.
Yeah, but that's not the angle. I'm seeing it in the whole deal of him being like, I can control this.
Mm.
I can change this. I see the hard-headedness. I see the pride. I see the frustration, the annoyance, the anger, the being like, no, I don't, I reject that. I don't accept that. You know what I mean? Like, no, I can be the one. And as I'm watching it, it's tempting to be like, man, what a jerk. But I could not help but see myself in that aspect of the character and being like, no, I can control this.
Yeah.
I can change this. Huh?
So what you telling me is, you get out of the cave with the Cyclops, you gonna turn around, you just want to shoot it in the eye, you just gonna tempt fate. That's what you're gonna do. You're just gonna like, man, I'm out.
Listen. Especially when you Hawkeye with it, why not? Why not?
Right. Like, we made it out, bro. What are you doing?
Right. It's funny because that's one of the points that, not literally, but I've done the equivalent in life.
Yeah.
Where you showboat, or where you take it too far, or you say that one thing that you shouldn't say. And then when you see it spinning out of control, you're like, well, no. I can do this. I can change. I've been that guy. I've done that thing. I've been the one to be like, no, follow me, continue. Like, leadership is hard. Being a person who makes the call is hard. And I know in myself, I have felt these moments where I'm like, if I can just get a hold of this, if I can just get everyone to do what I want them to do, everything's going to be okay. And it seems like the big point for Odysseus is, you have to stop. You have to stop trying to control this. There was a moment in the movie where, who did Zendaya play? Was it?
She plays Athena.
Athena,
the goddess of
There's
wisdom.
a moment where Athena's talking to Odysseus, and when I tell you I could have cried in this moment, I'm not exaggerating. He was like, I could. She goes, "Who's moving the tide?" I could have fell out. I could have fell out right there because I have been, who's moving the cloud? There's a moment where I, as a person of faith, I've been Odysseus and being like, I can get a hold of this. And someone's got to put their hand on my shoulder and go, who hung the stars in the sky?
Yeah, come on.
You know what I mean?
Where were you, right? Where were you?
Where were you at when all this stuff happened? And I'm just like, I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it right now. And I'm in there going like, and when they're like, you've got to go take your punishment. Poseidon is going to rough you up, but he ain't going to kill you. Like, I'm like, oh, and we see him finally let go. When he shows up at Ithaca, he shows up different. Shows up as a beggar. He keeps it low. He don't tell
There's
everybody.
a reason for that, though. But that's because of the wisdom that he got earlier. Remember? They said, don't make the same. His general told him in death, don't make the same mistake I made. Right?
Right.
But even those lessons.
That's the thing for me. That's the thing that I was taking away from Odysseus as a character, that I was like, oh, I'm really moved by the way they're portraying him, not in his perfection and the fact that he got everything right, but in how he dealt with getting stuff wrong.
Yeah.
You know?
But I think so. And that's why.
Well, gang, you may have seen that we look a little bit different. In full transparency, we just lost 15 minutes of our episode. However, we are back. And we're going to continue our conversation about the Odyssey. So just picking up where we left off, I wanted to ask the gang, I wanted to ask y'all a question. What do you think Christopher Nolan's trying to say to us with this movie? Let's start with you, Ken. What's the big picture that you think Christopher Nolan is trying to communicate to us with the Odyssey?
I think what Christopher Nolan's trying to communicate to us is that Matt Damon is underrated, and Tom Holland, even though he doesn't look that old, also doesn't look young enough to be Matt Damon's son. But that's neither here nor there. But yeah, I think what Christopher Nolan's actually trying to say to us is that where we believe we're right, it's not always the case. Sometimes we have to slow down and actually listen to those who are around us, who are trying to support us, and that oftentimes our wisdom is just based on experience that we is based on the experience that we have up until that point. We need more experience to grow and to gain the ability to make wiser decisions going forward. I think that there's also a message in here that you get to those certain points in your life where you have to make decisions when you're supposed to. I think part of that is this idea of, or the idea I had that if Odysseus ran into Circe first, where I believe it was Circe who was stretching dudes in the pigs.
Cersei, yep.
Cersei, yeah, where she was stretching dudes. If he arrived there first, as opposed to going through what he went through with the Cyclops 1st, I don't think that the situation would have turned out the same way. I think that
he was a different guy.
Failed, totally different guy, right?
Totally.
So yeah, and even the decision that he had to make later on with the 6 versus the entire crew, all these decisions build upon themselves because of what he went through with the Cyclops with Cersei. So I think at the end of the day, we get the wisdom, we gain the wisdom to make decisions when we get to harder places in life by our experiences that we've gained painfully on the way to them. Like, I know there's certain decisions that if I had to make now that I would have made like when I was 22, it'd be a totally different situation.
Totally
right.
Different.
So yeah, I think that a lot of that has to do with patience, time, and that painful growth that we have to go through.
Yeah. Dion, what you got on this? What do you think Mr. Nolan's trying to say to us with this?
Well,
film?
I know him personally. We had him over for brunch. Kidding.
Oh.
Got him on speed dial. Is that still a thing? Is speed dial still a thing? I got him in my favorites. But,
is speed dial still a thing?
He's in my close friends on socials.
Right.
Top 8 on my face. My space.
Now you're showing your age.
Mm-hmm.
I think what he's trying to articulate in this is that reconciliation is never too late, and reconciliation, I believe, is the linchpin to your future and your inheritance and your legacy, right? I think, and we mentioned it before. To me, one of the most mind-blowing moments, even though it's a brief moment, we could have sat there a little longer, was when he wanted to hear the siren song, right? He made sure all his men was waxed up, make sure they could not hear, but they talked about it started with everything you want to hear, right? And I think what you talk about, Ken, that journey, like he's like, I'm him, I'm exactly who I think I am. And then at some point it's all the broken promises, right? And that's what I think drove him for the duration. Like you see the matriculation through the rest of the film. I think that's what drove him. Everything else after that, like why I want to get home. And then with him and Calypso, like, hey, do I actually want to go home? Eating the lotus flowers so I can have escapism. So, I think Christopher Nolan is saying escapism is not going to reconcile, right? Running from it is not going to reconcile, right? None of these things are going to reconcile. It's, in the great words of Paul Lee when he said to Henry, you got to go home. You got to go home, right? And I think that was such a important part for him to be able to say, no, I have to reconcile this. Not only with, with my son, which is his legacy, not only with my wife, but for me, and I think that's why his decision had to end to say, no, I'm going to go exile. I ain't going to die. I'm not going out on my sword with y'all losers, but I'm going to choose to go into exile, right? So I think it really is this story of reconciliation and what it takes to reconcile with broken promises that we all have. Like you talked about it, we all have regrets. We all have things, wish I would have done that, wish I would have known this, right? But reconciliation is ultimately going to be the only thing that allows us to move forward. And I think that's to me what the big picture I took from.
Yeah, I agree with what both of y'all are saying, specifically about the reconciliation piece. I think that is that's a large part of what this is being able to reflect on who you are and what you've been. I think there was a major point towards the end of the movie where Odysseus is finally back with his wife, and his wife goes, "You are the people from the sea?" Like she has this moment where she's like, wait. So these stories that have been coming from you are the monsters, you are the horrible people, it's you all. Like being able to reflect and go, yes, that is me. That was us. that took place under my leadership, and I still have a choice for who I am going to be moving forward. It's not this denial. No, that wasn't us, because that's what he was doing in the beginning. No, that's not it. That's not what's going on. We can fix it. We can handle it. We see in that moment a level of growth as he's playing the beggar, going like, yeah, yep. But in my reflection, I can take ownership and I can do my best to, even though you may not be able to change it, you can take responsibility for it. And even if you're like saying, hey, that wasn't my intention, the consequences still need to be visited upon you. But that doesn't make you the things that you did alone. It's a part of you, but you can still grow from it. So I think this leads us to a good place to talk about what the big moment was. What was the big moment in the movie? The thing that you want to get a little bit of an ISO on to spend a few minutes just like breaking down whether it was something that really worked for you or something that you really didn't work for you. What was the big moment for you, Dion, for this movie?
Yeah, I mean, I think as I keep hammering home I think it was the moment with the sirens. I think that again that was a turning point for the entire film, for everybody, right? Because at this point he's still fighting with what the prophecy is going to be. He's still fighting with the idea of I can still save my men, I can still do this, but I think for himself, he still wasn't focused on the things he needed to reconcile until everything that he thought was going to be his legacy kind of went to crap. Right? Where's my men? Where's my men? Because that's his hope. Like, okay, if I can get these guys home, like, all right, cool. I'm justified. Right?
That's his identity.
Exactly. I'm justified. If I can get these men home, I'm justified. So once he realized, oh wait, it's just me. Oh, I have to look in the mirror. I have to face me. Whoa, like that's a very different conversation that I don't think he really wanted to have. So I really enjoyed that. I thought Elliot Page did a great job of helping him or forcing him to have to confront that, right? And saying, hey, no, like you knew this, you didn't trust me with this. And he's like, but I had to. That whole moment, I thought that whole conversation, I think was just as important as well, right? And again, him being able to see all his mistakes in front of him, right? Like the visual language, the visual conversation being had in that scene as well is so pivotal and so important, because even seeing his general, he's like, how are you here, right? So, and again, that moment is so much more important, because had that moment not happened, had he not had to face, that's what this scene was. It was facing all your mistakes head on. And the one that was speaking to you was the one that you're going to take to heart the most, right? Because you knew there was no way around it, and you felt like that was the one decision that was going to change everything. And to Ken's part, you were right, but you still got to face the consequences of being right, And I think in that moment, when he sees his general, had he not went there, had the general not said, hey, don't make the same mistake I made, who knows how he would have walked in there? Who knows if he would have survived that, right? Because I think the other thing too is, because it wasn't said, because Temelicus, when they asked how many suitors, he said a couple dozen. In the books, there's 108. There's 108 suitors. So when in the climax of the large fight, when he's going ham on everybody, that's 108 men that he's going up against, right? And I think, again, had he went a different way, had he not had that confront that moment, I don't think he goes in as a beggar. I think he goes in the same way he left, and he gets very different results, right? And we don't get the heroic ending that we get. We don't get him reconciling. We don't get the return with him with his wife. So I think those two scenes were catapulted everything else. It was very satisfying for the end result because of those two scenes.
Right. Ken, what's your moment for this movie?
So my moment is a scene or a sequence, you could say. I would say it's where all of the trinkets that we've been given from the beginning of the movie at the very end pay off. Where everything from the dog who's laying on the pile of dung outside and he sees his master and he can finally let go. I'm getting emotional. I don't like that.
Let it out.
Yeah, I mean, so that was really impactful for me. Just seeing that the dog literally held on until he could see his master and got that joy, and then he literally just let go. He didn't even try to go on anymore. Right?
Oh yeah, he was like, all right, I did what I said I was going to do.
Right,
y'all be safe out here.
Yeah, like that. The block that he gave to Robert Pattinson's character, showing like, hey, I know who you are.
His shame.
Yeah, you gave him his shame back. Yeah, and Robert Pattinson's performance in it is like, where did you get this from? Because he didn't want to accept it. He didn't want to believe it at all.
Look at the
One
contrast.
person
Look at the
Right.
does,
contrast.
one person
A
does
person,
not. Yep.
a person who's
Mhm.
acknowledging like this is who I am, this is what I did, but I still get to be what I decide to be. Fate and free will.
Right.
I get to choose. And another one
Mhm.
who's in complete denial. No, that's not me. You know?
Yeah.
Very interesting.
But I think what I don't want to let go unspoken of was his right hand man, John Leguizamo. John Leguizamo,
Yeah.
first of all, was
Amazing
underrated
performance.
in general,
Amazing
but
performance.
he was incredible
Mace was
in this
amazing.
movie. Oh my god! Like I think that John Leguizamo does not get the credit that he deserves, but I really hope that he gets some kind of supporting actor, something with this, right? And yeah, so all of that, all the chickens coming home to roost, all of the moments in where Nolan connected the dots. That's one of my favorite things in film in general.
Yes.
When you have a setup that you're hammering home and then you actually pay it off. This is not like, I don't want to downplay the example I'm about to give, but it's not on the same level, but it's still great. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3,
Okay.
when they're telling Cosmo bad dog the entire movie,
Mhm.
and then you get good dog at the end,
Mhm.
same thing for me. I got the same emotions. I'm like, yes, finally, good dog, right?
Right. Payoff.
Coincidentally, good dog here too. But yeah, so those are that entire scene. Oh, also until Temecula's recognizing what's happening. Oh,
Yeah.
pops, and then not blowing up the spot at the time, like being able to like
Right.
contain himself and walk in and say, all right, let's go do this and let's go handle this. But yeah, so all of that was great. That was my favorite scene in the movie because I got all the payoff that I wanted. Yeah, so, and there's, oh yes, last thing, I know who better get an award. Miss Hathaway.
Okay.
100%. I literally put that in my review. She better get a supporting actress nomination. 100%.
Yeah. She needs a nomination at least.
And a nomination at least.
So Ken, it's so funny.
That scene between her and Tom Holland when she's like, I want Odysseus. You know,
that was it. That's when I was like, hand her the nomination right now.
I even like the scene before that. It kind of ties into. So Ken, you brought up a Marvel reference, and I had a Marvel reference as well. But when she basically was just like you're still a child, she said, string the bow. Right, so even that tie back. So, like the moment you were talking about Octavius, like sat up in the seat, like that was one of the moments for me because I obviously I knew, but seeing it was like, oh, like he's going to do it. So everybody's laughing at him. You can't do this, that, the third. So when he strung the bow, and then I was like it's like you could hear a pin drop, like literally, like the air was taken out of the room. Like, oh snaps! And Atinius is like, oh, I gotta get out of here. Like, I gotta get out. It's like, yo, show me the exit immediately. I gotta go. But I thought that was such the payoff for that, like you were talking about, Kim. But the Marvel reference I thought about was Thor's hammer, right? Everyone's trying to pick up Mjolnir. That was the reference that I got. Everyone's trying to pick up Mjolnir, right? And then Thor comes, and sure enough, I am him, right? I am worthy. So I thought that was such a cool tie. It reminded me of that Marvel reference as well.
Yeah.
Going back again, I mentioned this a little bit earlier in the episode. Odysseus and Athena. That sequence when he kind of has that awakening, when Athena just says it to him like, yo, who's in charge here? Who's making this thing happen? Who's putting this all together? Who's really the one? You have to actually just accept that you're not the one who's running this.
Right.
And the statement before he goes out and it's like, yo, you got to let Poseidon, you got to take your consequences and repercussions. You know, like that was a very powerful moment where he's laying on this raft and the water is you got to imagine that was like horrible, but you have to kind of just give yourself over to, if you've ever been in the ocean can be fun, but if you get too far out there, the ocean is terrifying.
Yeah, it's not my ministry.
That's
it lets you know, like, you're not in charge. Okay, there's stuff going on here that's completely outside of your control. But imagine making a raft and just giving yourself over to the ocean. You know what I mean? Like, there's a level of faith in that really moved me. Like, so I think Odysseus's, turn And the moment that he accepts it and just goes with it, it shows. And of course, him stringing the bow and actually doing the thing. Christopher Nolan, Mr. Nolan, fantastic job building up to that moment because we all knew it was going to.
Sure.
We all knew that moment was going to happen. Going to put it on there, but it wasn't a situation where it's like, here he goes, he's going to put. When that happens, you're sitting there almost with tears in your eyes, like, oh my gosh, And I love when a filmmaker makes things mean something. They're not just smashing action figures together. They're not just putting stuff on the screen. All of those things were paid off in the culmination of this movie. Yeah. So well done, Christopher Nolan and team.
It wasn't generic.
It didn't.
Again, the build up to it, even if you knew it was coming, even if you read it and knew it was coming. But the other beautiful thing about this, there's a lot of people that's going to be in these theaters that do not know that's coming, right? So I can imagine it's almost like when us comic book nerds knew that Cap was worthy, but when he still did it, it was still like a whoa moment. And I think he accomplished the same thing in this moment, the same exact feeling.
Well, I don't know if this is Cap picking up the hammer now. However, I will say that it was a powerful moment. I think about Captain America picking up that hammer. I did cry. I did cry. That was one of the most powerful moments I have ever experienced in a movie theater because it was like the whole audience erupted. It's like totally overtakes you. I think sometimes like, will I ever have a moment in the movies like that ever again?
I don't know,
20 years leading up to that. So it's not quite. I have a special place in my heart for that moment.
Sometimes I go back and like watch the theater reaction videos for when that moment happens. Like people record it in the theater and the crowd goes crazy. I'm like, man, I don't think I'll ever experience anything like this again. Yeah. It would take a lot. It would take 10 years worth of storytelling for me to get to that point, right? So yeah.
But we're thankful for what we got.
Absolutely.
So speaking of which, we got this movie. We've seen it. We've talked about it. We've had technical difficulties, and we came back. We gave ourselves over to the technological seas, and we made it back to KRA-KOOM. So now, letter grades, gang. Crew, I want to know what your letter grade is for Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey. Ken, what's your letter grade?
A+. A+. Easy.
Coming in hot.
It's one of the best movies I've ever seen.
Ever.
It takes a lot. It takes a lot. This is an A+. As a matter of fact, I don't think I've ever given an A+. Like I'm sure I've given A's. Like there's something like Parasite, I would give an A, right? But this to me is like an A+ film, and this is the experience that you want when you go to the movies. This is one of those rare experiences. Like I'm watching a movie, like a film. Like this is what I come here for. This is the crescendo. This is the payoff. For all the hundreds of dollars I spent on AMC A-list.
We come to the movies. That's what she's talking about. This is why we come to the movies. Yeah. Dion, what's your letter grade? What you got?
Giving it an A-. I think it's
okay.
Really, really good. I mean, it is a stellar film, but it's not a perfect film. And I do think and he has this issue with a couple of his films, dialogue sometimes not being clear, not knowing exactly what's being said. And then certain scenes that are amazing, they didn't feel like they meant as much because we didn't know what was going on. So for me, it's A-. So for the one when they went to the land of the giants and the little, the child screams, like we don't actually know why that matters or why that, other than, another trial. But I think, again, for the movie watcher who has no frame of reference for what they're adapting, I think those things just kind of felt like, okay, it was just an opportunity to show the Giants. So I think there's a couple things I'm just like, oh, well, this could have been this, that, and third. And like I said, I think there were certain scenes that they should have maybe spent a little bit more time on. So I give it an A-, but it's stellar.
And by the way, that person is me. I did not know this story at all, other than like Troy with
Brad Pitt.
What is that gentleman's Brad Pitt? Yeah, that's like the most of it. And there's no mysticism. There's no real like monsters or creatures in that whatsoever. So I'm I didn't know that the story expanded out that much. I knew it was a fictional tale, but I didn't know it expanded out that much. So everything for me in this is essentially new.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, I got this at an A. I got this at a solid A. And for those who are watching who are not familiar with our grading system, it's just like the school, American school grade system: A, B, C, D, F. So A is one of the best movies you've seen, and I can say that this is one of the better movies I've seen. I could give it an A. Well, I might tweak it to A minus. I might tweak it to A minus. Yeah, this is one of the This is one of the better movies I've seen, and it's definitely something I want to own on 4K.
100%.
For sure. 100%.
This
is something that I want to have in my collection, and I'm growing more and more and caring about physical media in a time where
analog
things are changing,
is trending, baby.
Actually own anything, and people can take stuff away from you whenever you want. So,
Right.
and also I just like the experience of being able to take a movie down, open it up, look at it, you know what I mean? The ritual of doing the thing, that feels good. And this is one of those that I want to be able to have and I want to be able to go back to. So, people who are listening, people who are watching, members of the crew, I want to know what you think about this movie. What is your letter grade? Do you have it an A, B, C, D, F? Please leave us a comment letting us know what you grade this on. And also send us your commentary at mailbag@KRA-KOOM.com. That's mailbag at KRA-KOOM.com. Again, follow the show on YouTube at KRA-KOOM. We're KRA-KOOM Media all over social media. And Dion, where can people find you if they want to tell you they disagree with everything you said?
You can find me at the closest comic book store. No, I'm kidding. You can find me at d.ringgold on Instagram. Ringgold has 2 G's.
Okay.
I can never go broke. My last name got 2 G's. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Hey. At least you got that.
Somebody will catch that reference.
2 G's and some gold.
Somebody will catch that.
Ken, where can they find you at?
You can find me on Threads at It Could Be Kenny. And they're talking about everything from wrestling to movies and film. You can also find me on YouTube under It Could Be Whatever Media. The individual channels are It Could Be Movies or It Could Be Wrestling. And you can also find some vlogs on It Could Be Whatever. Those are the 3 channels that are under It Could Be Media. It Could Be Whatever Media, I should say. So yeah, you can find me and my very different, varying opinions there.
All right. You can find me at Octavius Was Here all over the socials and interwebs. Crew, thank you for being a part of the show. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for commenting. And thank you for sharing the show with other people. We really appreciate you kicking it with us. And we'll see you next time. Peace.
Hasta la pasta. Peace.